So as far back as I can remember, I've been playing video games. I've owned about 20 consoles and have played hundreds of games, ranging from like flash games you guys may play on the computers, to console games like Xbox, then also PC games like Left 4 Dead, my favorite. But anyways, alright. So one of my personal favorites is called the DS. So it's right here. Put it right there for you guys. Later on, I'm going to describe it for you guys. So I currently own 3DS. Two are broken, sadly. And so recently, like a new version has come out called the DSi. It's my personal opinion that the DS Lite, which is an older version, has significant gaming advantages compared to the new version, the DSi. So there are 3 versions that currently are available. The DS, the original one, which came out in 2004, and then the DS Lite, which came out in 2006, and then the DSi, which just came out right now. So first I want to go over what the DSi lacks that the DS Lite has, that in my opinion is not worth actually buying the DSi. And then what the DSi has that in my opinion don't do much to actual gaming itself. So there are 2 things that the DSi lacks, like just important things. First is not a Game Boy Advance slot, which is right here. Like this is an older gaming system right here that you can play back games from. And like it doesn't have that in the DSi. So you can look on GameFAQs and see the amount of games, and there's about 600 games total that it can actually play from the Game Boy Advance that the DSi does not have. And then next, the battery life has been like significantly reduced. Whereas the DSi can do like 14 to 19 hours, the DSi can only do 14 hours on minimum settings. So it's really bad for like power-wise. And then for the DSi, it can also do like new features. Like it has 2 cameras, which like one would be like right here, and then the other one would be on the inside. And they're like really bad like quality, like 0.3 megapixels. And then the actual like cameras for a cell phone can do like 1 to 2 megapixels, which is like really bad compared to them. And there's only one game that can actually use these cameras in them. So you're kind of losing out for that. And then it also has a Wi-Fi shop, which allows you to buy games. But there's only 5 total that can actually be bought so far. So it's really bad. I mean, and those games itself are not full-blown games. They're like little tiny flash games that you can find on the internet. So there's not much you can actually do with that. And also, the DSi can play back music, but it can only support AAC, which for most people don't know, like the standard format is MP3. So all your music needs to be converted to actually play it on the DSi. So you lose out there too. And also, these don't actually play in the games. Like there's a game like you guys into arcades like DDR, you know, there's like that step game. Yeah, you can actually integrate that into games, but as of right now, the DSi does not actually do that. Also, there's other games like AudioSurf that actually uniquely generate courses depending on the games you play. Then next, there's also supported SD cards, like the one I just had in there, which allows you to like store like files in it. But the actual amount of games and music you can store is very limited, so it's not worth it in my opinion. Let's see. And also, the cost and evaluation shows, just in my opinion, that the DS Lite is more advantageous. The DSi costs about $40 more than the DS Lite. So you're paying $40 more for less games to play, and also the new features can actually be used in the games itself right now. Also, the DSi has a new processor, which is like the core of like a computer or a game system, which allows you to, like, basically a better processor, the faster your system will all around go. But compared to the DSi and the DS Lite, the difference isn't actually noticed in the game itself, only in applications, which most of you will probably not use applications because they're simple things like a calendar, something we simply use in a phone. So that's the only way you'll actually notice these differences in speed itself. So in the future, it's possible for the DSi to actually have new games that can actually use these features. Right now, there's only 5 total. So it's just my personal opinion. The DSi is still more advantageous in gaming because it's cheaper, offers more games to play, and the new features that the DSi has are just not worth it at all. So, okay, thank you.
All right, Ryan, you have a very clear statement of what the claim is, and you've got a good setup of the structure with the preview, and I thought you did a nice job kind of defining the difference between the systems that you're talking about. Maybe you want to pace yourself a little bit because you've got DS, DS Lite, and DSi. It's like a little repetitive, and so it might be hard to keep track of, and so slow down a bit on those kinds of things. I thought you did the signpost on the first supporting claim very clearly, but the subsequent ones was not as clear, and especially once you started getting into the specifications, it just started to seem like, you know, here's a spec, here's a spec, here's a spec, here's a spec, and so I got a little lost while you were talking about the issues. I could still follow most of the things that you're talking about, but it didn't seem like they were being connected to the structure that you started with. I thought you did a good job establishing your credibility from the beginning. Now, there aren't many examples to illustrate the points except a couple of vague hypotheticals. The only statistical information that you have is on costs and some of the memory issues. There's a lot of factual data in the presentation, but you're not always consistent about giving us the source of the factual data, and you're the only one who's offering any opinion about this, and I'm sure that there are gamers who have, experts in the field who have offered opinions on these gaming systems, tell us what the problems are, and they are authoritative, and you could probably use their expertise in backing up your claim a little bit more. Thought you had a reasonable summary at the end. You did try and kind of restore a little bit the organizational structure before you were finished. You do need to project your voice a little bit more. There's kind of a cadence to it that gets into that sing-song when you start getting spec, spec, spec. It sounds a little bit like a list instead of an argument. And there's nothing wrong with saying it's your opinion, but make sure that you're backing up that opinion with something else, and statistics or facts or examples or expert testimony. And sometimes we got facts, but we didn't always get sources on those. All right, thank you for starting us off, everybody.